right, so get ready because we are diving deep into a topic that might surprise you.
Ooh,
Cheating,
they cheating.
but not the kind you might immediately think of. You sent us this article, Cheating on a Partner versus Cheating on Yourself, The Lies We Live, and it really got me thinking. We're about to unpack this whole idea of self-betrayal.
It is a fascinating concept because it sort of reframes cheating beyond just romantic relationships, right? The article explores like how compromising your values
Uh-huh.
or ignoring your needs, how that can be a form of cheating, even if there's no partner involved.
Yeah, it's almost like we have this inner compass, and when we stray too far from it,
Yeah,
that's when the self-betrayal kicks in.
exactly. And the article defines cheating on yourself as going against what you truly want or need,
Hmm.
even when it might seem easier in the moment.
Yeah.
It's like making a deal with the devil, like short-term comfort
Oh, yeah.
for long-term dissatisfaction.
Like staying in a soul-crushing job just for the paycheck,
Right.
even though every morning feels like you're dragging yourself through quicksand. Been there.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the insidiousness of self-betrayal really comes in, right? The article highlights how these are often like small compromises
Yeah.
at first. Maybe you're telling yourself, oh, I'll start that side hustle later or finally have that tough conversation next week. But these small betrayals,
Right.
they can snowball over time, leaving you feeling utterly disconnected from yourself.
It's like we slowly chip away at our own authenticity
Like, cool.
until we barely recognize ourselves in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And then the article goes on to contrast this with like classic cheating on a partner.
Right.
While both forms of betrayal can be devastating, the impacts are experienced quite differently, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. While infidelity can lead to these immediate and intense feelings of hurt, anger, broken trust, the consequences of self-betrayal are often much more subtle and insidious. The article points out that it can manifest as, like a gradual erosion of self-esteem, a pervasive sense of unfulfillment, and even resentment
Right.
that bleeds into your relationships.
Yeah.
Even when your partner hasn't done anything wrong, it's almost like this slow poison, like seeping into every aspect of your life without you even realizing it.
You start blaming external factors
Yes.
when the root of the problem lies within.
Exactly.
So why do we do this to ourselves? The article kind of suggests that it's about seeking comfort and avoiding difficult conversations.
Right, yeah. One of the primary reasons that the article highlights is our deep-seated desire to avoid conflict.
Okay.
It's easier to just go along with things to keep the peace, even if it means silencing your own needs and wants. But what I find fascinating is that this avoidance often stems from like a deeper fear of rejection
Yeah.
or disapproval.
So we betray ourselves to protect ourselves.
Yes.
But in the end, it creates even more internal conflict.
Exactly.
It's like we're stuck in a self-made prison of our own design.
Precisely.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The article delves into like the psychological mechanisms at play,
Okay.
highlighting the role of cognitive dissonance in self-betrayal.
Uh-huh.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
For those of us who haven't taken a psych class lately, can you
Yeah.
break that down a bit?
Yeah, it's essentially the mental discomfort we experience
Okay.
when we hold two conflicting beliefs or when our actions don't align with our values. So if we believe, like, okay, I deserve to be treated with respect, but we consistently find ourselves in situations where we're not, that creates cognitive dissonance.
And to ease that discomfort,
Yes.
we start justifying our choices, even if those justifications are completely irrational.
Excellent.
It's like we're masters at spinning stories
Yes,
to protect our egos,
totally.
even if it means sacrificing our well-being in the process.
That's a great way to put it. And the article emphasizes how this cycle of dishonesty can be incredibly difficult to break free from,
Yeah.
especially if we're not even aware of the ways in which we're betraying ourselves, right? It becomes this self-perpetuating pattern that can have long-lasting consequences.
But it's not all doom and gloom, right? The article offers some hope, some ways to recognize those self-betraying behaviors
Oh, for sure.
and strategies for breaking free from that cycle.
Absolutely. Recognizing the signs is the first step.
Okay.
The article points out red flags like, consistently ignoring your gut feelings,
Yeah.
constantly sacrificing things you truly value, or feeling this constant undercurrent of resentment.
Right.
These are all signs that you might be compromising yourself
Yeah.
in ways that are detrimental to your well-being.
So it's about tuning back into that inner compass,
Yes.
learning to trust our own instincts again.
Exactly.
But how do we actually start breaking free? What are some of the strategies the article suggests?
Well, one of the most powerful tools the article mentions is the power of honest self-reflection.
Oh, okay.
Taking the time to truly understand your values, your needs, and your non-negotiables. It's about getting back in touch with your authentic self. Asking yourself those big questions like, what do I truly want? What kind of life do I want to create?
It sounds like it's about redefining what success and happiness mean for you, not
Yeah.
based on societal expectations or what others think you should be doing.
Exactly.
But that kind of introspection can be daunting.
It can be, yeah.
Any tips for getting started?
Well, the article suggests starting with like a simple journaling exercise. Take some time each day to just like reflect on your choices, your feelings, and those moments when you feel a sense of internal conflict.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, am I being true to myself in this situation? What would it look like to honor my needs?
It's about recognizing those moments.
Yeah.
When we're about to make a deal with the devil
Yeah.
and choosing a different path.
Yeah.
But what about those like deeply ingrained fears that keep us stuck? How do we confront those?
Yeah, and that's where the article dives into the importance of cultivating self-compassion.
Okay.
It's about understanding that we all make mistakes. We're all works in progress. Instead of beating ourselves up for past betrayals, it's about offering ourselves the same kindness and understanding we would offer a close friend.
It's like being our own best cheerleader instead of our own worst critic.
Yeah,
And that shift in perspective
Right.
can be incredibly empowering.
exactly. The article emphasizes that self-compassion is not about making excuses for bad behavior.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we're all human and we all have the capacity to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
It's about creating a space for ourselves to learn from our mistakes and to make different choices moving forward.
Okay, so we've talked about the why behind self-betrayal, like that fear of conflict, the need to please others, and
Right.
those pesky cognitive dissonances we create
Yeah.
to justify our choices.
Right. It's exact.
But what about the how?
Okay.
What does this actually look like in our everyday lives? The article gave some really relatable examples, didn't it?
It did. And I think it's important to point out that self-betrayal isn't always about like these huge dramatic decisions.
Right.
It can like show up in the smallest moments.
Yeah.
Those like seemingly insignificant compromises we make that over time chip away at our authenticity.
Like what specifically? Give me an example that our listener
Gotcha.
might relate to.
Okay, so think about like romantic relationships.
Okay.
The article talked about staying with a partner who consistently disrespects your boundaries, even though, deep down, you deserve better.
Right.
Maybe you make excuses for their behavior or convince yourself it's not that bad, all to avoid
Okay.
that dreaded conversation about what's not working.
It's almost like settling for a comfortable numbness
Yeah,
instead of risking the uncertainty of change,
absolutely.
even if that change might ultimately bring you closer to what you truly desire.
Yeah,
Or it could be as simple as not speaking up about your needs and preferences. Constantly accommodating your partner's desires while neglecting your own.
right.
Over time, this can lead to like a feeling of resentment
Yeah.
and a loss of your own identity within the relationship.
It's like becoming a shadow of yourself,
Yeah.
fading into the background to keep the peace.
Exactly.
And this can happen in other areas of life too, right?
Yeah.
I know I've definitely experienced this in my career.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, the article highlights that, the all too common experience of staying in a soul-crushing job just for the paycheck, even though it's sucking the life out of you.
Right.
It's that classic, like, golden handcuffs dilemma.
Yeah,
You're trapped by the comfort and security, but at what cost
right.
to your mental and emotional well-being?
Yeah, you're trading your precious time and energy for something that's not fulfilling you
Yeah.
on any level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just careers, is it? The article also mentioned friendships as a breeding ground for self-betrayal. It did, yeah. Think about, like, the friend who always wants to do what they want to do. And you find yourself constantly saying yes,
Yeah.
even though you're exhausted and just want to stay home and recharge.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're clinging to a friendship that's become toxic or one-sided out of fear of being alone or hurting the other person's feelings.
Right.
We tell ourselves we're being nice, but are we really being kind to ourselves
Yeah.
in those situations?
Frankly.
All of these examples really highlight how self-betrayal can be the slow, insidious process
Yeah.
that erodes our happiness over time
Totally.
without us even realizing it. And that's why recognizing the signs
Yes.
is so crucial.
Right.
The article suggests paying attention to that gut feeling, that inner voice that whispers,
Yeah.
this doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
or I deserve better than this.
Mhm.
It's about learning to trust our own instincts again, which can be tough, especially if we've spent years silencing that inner voice.
But it's not enough to just recognize the signs, is it? We need to actually do something about it.
Right.
So what are some concrete steps we can take to start breaking free from these self-betraying patterns? What did the article suggest?
Well, one of the most practical tips the article offers is to start paying attention to those moments when you're ignoring your gut feeling.
Oh,
Like when you agree to something you really don't want to do, or when you bite your tongue instead of speaking your truth.
Yeah.
Just like notice those patterns, those moments when you feel that internal conflict.
Okay, so awareness is the first step.
Yes.
But then what? What do we do with that awareness?
The article suggests asking yourself, tell you why you're making those choices.
Oh,
Are you afraid of conflict? Are you trying to please others? Are you worried about what people will think?
yeah.
Getting to the root of those motivations can be incredibly insightful.
It's like shining a light on those subconscious beliefs and fears
Yeah.
that are driving those self-sabotaging behaviors.
Exactly.
And once we understand them, we can start to challenge them.
Exactly. Ask yourself, are these beliefs really true?
Yeah.
Are these fears rational?
Mhm.
And most importantly, are these beliefs and fears serving me?
Right.
If the answer is no,
Yeah.
then it's time to start rewriting the script.
Okay.
It's time to make choices that are aligned with your true values and desires,
Right.
even if it means stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Which can feel scary, especially if we're so used to playing it safe.
It can.
But the article emphasizes that this process isn't about becoming, like, selfish
Right.
or inconsiderate of others.
No, not at all.
It's about finding that healthy balance
Exactly.
between honoring your own needs and respecting the needs of those around you.
Right. It's about creating relationships that are built on mutual respect, authenticity, and honesty. And the article really hammers home the point that honesty is like the key ingredient in all of this.
Honesty with yourself, honesty with your partner, honesty with your friends.
Yes.
It's about showing up as your true self,
Mm.
even when it feels uncomfortable.
Because ultimately, pretending to be someone you're not only hurts you, it also prevents you from forming genuine connections with others, like
Right.
wearing a mask all the time.
Yeah.
Eventually, people get tired of interacting with the mask.
Right.
They never get to know the real you.
And you never get to experience the joy of being fully seen and accepted for who you truly are.
Exactly.
So how do we cultivate more honesty in our lives? What are some tangible steps we can take?
One practice the article recommends is mindfulness.
Mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is about being present in the moment without judgment. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And mindfulness can be especially helpful in those moments when you feel yourself about to betray your own needs.
Yeah.
Like when you feel that urge to say yes, even though you really want to say no. In those moments, pause, take a deep breath,
Yeah.
and ask yourself, what do I truly need right now?
It's about creating space between the stimulus and the response, giving yourself permission,
Exactly.
feel your feelings, and to honor what your body and mind are telling you.
Right.
What other strategies did the article suggest?
Another crucial step is learning to express your needs more directly.
Okay.
Instead of hoping others will just magically understand what you're thinking, clearly and respectfully articulate your desires
Okay.
and be willing to have those tough conversations, even if they feel awkward or uncomfortable.
Sometimes those conversations can feel like walking on eggshells.
It can.
But often they're the key to unlocking a deeper intimacy and connection, aren't they?
Exactly. It's like clearing the air, allowing for more genuine communication and understanding.
Right.
And remember, it's not about blaming others or pointing fingers.
Yeah.
It's about taking responsibility for your own happiness and well-being and inviting others to do the same.
Creating a culture of honesty and authenticity in your relationships so that everyone feels safe to
Yeah.
be themselves, flaws and all.
That's a beautiful vision.
Mhm.
And it all starts with being honest with yourself, recognizing those moments of self-betrayal, and choosing to make different choices.
Choices that honor your true self
Mm-hmm.
and lead you towards a more fulfilling life.
Exactly.
But I imagine this is an ongoing process, right?
Absolutely.
It's not like we just flip a switch
Yeah.
and suddenly we're perfectly honest with ourselves all the time.
Of course not. It's a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you slip up,
Right.
times when you fall back into old patterns.
Yeah.
But the key is to be kind to yourself, to learn from those experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and to keep moving forward.
It's about recognizing those stumbles as opportunities for growth,
Yes.
not reasons to give up.
Exactly.
So what are some practical tools we can use to stay on track and continue to cultivate more honesty and self-respect in our lives?
Well, the article emphasized the importance of setting clear boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yes. Boundaries are essential for protecting your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. Think of them like those invisible fences
Okay.
you put up around yourself to let others know what's acceptable
Yeah.
and what's not.
And setting those boundaries is crucial for preventing resentment and
Right.
burnout, right?
Absolutely.
Because when we don't have clear boundaries,
Yeah.
people can easily take advantage of our kindness
Totally.
or our willingness to please, and then we end up feeling resentful and depleted.
Exactly. The article suggests starting by identifying the areas in your life where you feel the most drained or overwhelmed.
Like maybe you're constantly saying yes to social commitments,
Right.
even when you're craving some alone time.
Exactly.
Or maybe you're letting work bleed into your personal life,
Yes.
checking emails and taking calls at all hours.
Right. Once you've identified those areas, you can start setting some boundaries.
Okay.
It might be as simple as saying no to that extra project at work, or setting aside a specific time each day for yourself where you unplug from technology and recharge.
Right. And communicating those boundaries clearly and respectfully
Yes.
to the people in your life so that they understand your needs
Right.
and can respect your limits.
Exactly.
It's not about being rude or shutting people out.
No.
It's about honoring your own well-being
Yeah.
so you can show up as your best self in your relationships.
I couldn't agree more.
Right.
And here's another important element the article touched on. Forgiveness.
Okay.
Forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing and growth.
Yeah.
But it can be so hard to do, especially when we've been hurt or betrayed.
Right.
But as the article points out, holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run.
It keeps us stuck in the past, prevents us from moving forward.
Yes.
And it can poison our relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The article suggests starting by forgiving yourself for those times when you've betrayed your own needs,
Right.
for the mistakes you've made.
Yeah.
It's about letting go of that self-judgment
Mm-hmm.
and extending compassion to yourself.
Yeah. And once you've forgiven yourself, it becomes easier to kind of extend that same grace to others, right?
Absolutely. It's important to remember that forgiveness doesn't mean condoning bad behavior.
Right.
It simply means choosing to let go of the pain so that you can move on. And remember, forgiveness is a process. It's not a one-time event.
Yeah.
There will be days when those feelings of anger or hurt resurface, but with practice, it becomes easier to choose peace and move forward.
So forgiveness is about releasing the past. What about cultivating a more positive mindset in the present? I know the article touched on the importance of gratitude.
It did, and gratitude is such a simple practice, but it can have a profound impact on our well-being.
Yeah.
It's about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have, from what's wrong to what's right.
Yeah.
When we practice gratitude, we start to see the world through a more positive lens.
It's like those rose-colored glasses we hear about. Only these actually work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. We appreciate the good things in our lives more deeply, and we feel more content and fulfilled. Do you have any tips for actually incorporating gratitude into our daily lives?
Yeah, the article suggested starting a gratitude journal.
Okay.
Each day, just write down 3 things you're grateful for. Could be anything.
Yeah.
Like a warm cup of coffee, a sunny day, a kind gesture from a stranger, the sound of your kids laughing.
Hmm.
The more you practice gratitude, the more you'll start to notice the abundance in your life.
And when you're focused on the good, it's harder to kind of dwell on the negative.
Exactly. It's like that saying, what you focus on expands.
Yeah.
And this brings us back to the core idea of self-betrayal.
Okay.
When we're not content with who we are and what we have, we're more likely to compromise our values and settle for less than we deserve.
Right.
But when we cultivate gratitude and self-acceptance, we become more empowered to make choices that honor our true selves.
Yeah.
Choices that lead to genuine happiness and fulfillment.
It's like gratitude creates this positive feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
The more grateful we are, the more content we feel, and the less likely we are to betray ourselves by settling for less than we deserve.
Exactly.
You know, as we've been talking about all this, it's striking me how much of this self-betrayal comes down to fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of being alone.
Yeah.
The list goes on. It's like we're so afraid of those, potential negative consequences that we end up betraying ourselves in the process.
Well, that's such a powerful insight, and fear can be a major driver of those self-sabotaging behaviors.
Yeah.
We choose the perceived safety of silence over the potential discomfort of honesty. But as we've been discussing, those short-term comforts often lead to long-term dissatisfaction.
So how do we overcome those fears? How do we step out of that comfort zone
Okay.
and into a space of greater honesty and authenticity?
The first step is to simply acknowledge those fears.
Okay.
Name them, write them down, talk about them with a trusted friend or therapist.
Yep.
Once you've brought those fears out into the open, they lose some of their power.
It's like turning on the light in a dark room.
Exactly.
Suddenly those shadowy fears don't seem so scary anymore.
Right. And once you've acknowledged those fears, you can start to question them.
Right.
Ask yourself, are they based in reality? Or are they echoes of past experiences that might no longer be relevant? Are those feels actually serving me, or are they holding me back?
So it's about challenging those fear-based narratives
Yeah.
we've been telling ourselves. But it's one thing to challenge them in our minds. How do we actually start acting differently in the real world?
Well, it's about taking small steps outside of your comfort zone.
Okay.
Start practicing saying no more often.
Mm-hmm.
Express your needs more directly. Each time you face a fear and come out on the other side, you build confidence and resilience.
Right.
You start to realize you're capable of handling more than you thought you could.
It's like building a muscle.
Yes,
The more we exercise those courage muscles, the stronger they become.
exactly. And as you start to overcome those fears, you create more space for honesty and authenticity in your life.
Right.
You become more comfortable being yourself, flaws and all, and you attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are.
It's like we're finally letting go of that carefully constructed persona
Yeah.
and allowing our true selves to shine through.
And there's nothing more magnetic than authenticity.
So if you're struggling with self-betrayal, remember that you're not alone.
You are not.
We all have fears, we all make mistakes, and we all have moments where we stray from our true selves.
Yeah.
But the key is to be kind to yourself,
Mhm.
to learn from those experiences, and to keep moving forward.
And remember, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a life that is true to you, a life that is filled with joy, love, and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And the more honest you are with yourself, the
Yeah.
closer you'll get to that life.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. What really hit home for me was that connection between fear and self-betrayal, and how recognizing those fears can be the first step to breaking free.
It's so easy to let fear dictate our choices. But as we've discussed, facing those fears, even in small ways, can be incredibly liberating.
And for you listening, we hope this conversation has inspired you to reflect on your own life, to identify those areas where you might be cheating yourself,
Yeah.
and to start making choices that honor your true self.
Remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress,
Mhm.
and never stop learning.
And as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts, share your reflections on social media, drop us an email. Let's keep this conversation going.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
And remember, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Nurture it, cherish it, and never stop growing.